So now that you know an overview of some of the checkout settings, we're going to talk about the various ways that we can receive payments on our website. At the top of the checkout tab, there are sub-links, and these are the default payment systems that are part of wooCommerce. We're going to talk about these more specifically in the next couple of movies. The first one that we'll be discussing, though, is check payments. If I click on the link, it's going to take me to the section where I can set specifications for this sort of payment. When you have check payments enabled, which I do, it allows users to be able to pay for the goods and services with a check. You can obviously give this any sort of title that you want, give it a custom description, and give some sort of instructions. The first option is probably the most important, and that's going to control whether the check option is going to be shown as a payment gateway on your online store or not. Paying with checks is somewhat of an outdated method, since most people that are going to be doing transactions online are going to probably want to pay with credit cards. But there are people that might want to pay with checks, and especially because we have local pickup available, people might want to pay with a check. So if this is a desirable option, you will want to make sure this is enabled and then customize the settings accordingly. I'm going to move on to cash on delivery. Obviously, some people are going to want to be able to pay with cash, especially if you offer local pickup. It is possible that you could have people that would pay with cash when the item is delivered as well. And this is the original intent of this setting. The configuration options are similar to what we saw in the check payment gateway, although there's a couple of other fields here as well. Obviously, the first thing is to enable this sort of gateway. So if you want to include this, you'll need to check it. If you don't, you would simply uncheck it. The title is the name that is displayed to the customer at the time of checkout. A description is simply a brief description about this particular payment, and it's going to guide the customers about the structure of this sort of payment. The instructions is going to be the message that is going to display on the thank you page for the customers at the time of checkout completion. And then you can choose whether or not you want to enable shipment methods. Obviously, there's a variety of shipment methods that exist. So when you're offering cash on delivery as a payment gateway, you need to be very careful on which shipping method you're going to include if you want to have the option where the customer would pay cash when the goods were actually delivered to them. And the last option is the checkbox, which deals with virtual orders. So enabling this checkbox means that cash on delivery will hold true if the product is virtual. You may decide with a virtual object that you don't want to offer cash on delivery, and in that case you would just need to check or uncheck the box accordingly. We're not going to make any changes in this item. We'll skip over PayPal because we're going to actually have a separate movie that deals with PayPal because it's going to be more extensive than the other items that we have. The last option that comes pre-installed is BACS, which stands for Bankers Automated Clearing Services. This is an electronic system through which people can make payments from one bank account to another without any third-party intervention. This can also be known as a bank wire transfer. I have this disabled for my store, but if you wanted to include this as an option, you would need to enable it. Obviously, you have items for title, description, and instructions, which are very similar to the other fields that we talked about. In addition to that, you have the account details. This is where you would enter your bank account details, which is going to be displayed to the users on the thank you page when they're about to complete the checkout process. You obviously have different fields, and you're going to need to fill them out accordingly. So you'll need your account name, the account number, the bank's name, the routing number, and the IBAN, along with a BIC SWIFT. This is information that you're going to need to get from your bank. If needed, you can add multiple accounts or remove specific accounts if you've already set them up. Again, we're not going to be making any changes here, but I just wanted to quickly review these options with you before we get into PayPal. We'll be talking about that in the next movie.